Conceive the remarkable prerogative of clasping within your grasp an arcane instrument mislaid across the centuries. Not a vulgar artifact, but the originary commutator susceptible of rekindling the slumbering faculties of your quintessential essence. This hallowed harmonic, preciously preserved by antiquity's initiates and thereafter dissimulated by orthodoxy's reigning sentinels, embodies a vibrational algorithm capable of catalyzing within 55 seconds the activation of an energetic potential entombed in your genetic patrimony's profundities. Thoth impressed its essence upon temporal archetypes ere it was prescribed from canonical scriptures, comprehending its subversive nature. It constitutes a catalyst apt to demolish existence's illusory perception of disaggregation, operating directly upon your quantum matrix. The inexorable verity. This resonance has never been annihilated. It has merely tarried in umbral, waiting for the opportune instant to resound anew, concealed within temporary geometries, in mystical utterances silent interstices, in your cardiac organ's pulsation when you renounce mundane tumult's audition to turn toward your interiority's hearing. Today I shall unveil not solely the reasons for its dissimulation, but principally the modalities to activate it this selfsame evening in order to experiment a perceptible energetic translation. I shall demonstrate wherefore it has been expunged from each known sacred codex, how it operates at the cellular level rewriting your vibrational memory, the precise technique to emit it correctly. It corresponds not to your expectations, and how to recognize its immediate effects upon your corpus and phenomenon reality. Attention, once perceived by the soul's senses, naught can regress to the anterior state. The veil shall be lacerated definitively, and you shall contemplate finally your authentic nature. Are you prepared to actuate your existence's reinitialization mechanism and awaken the titan that has always resided in your depths? Should these initial elocutions have enkindled a spark within your interiority, manifest it to me immediately through approbation. That modest gesture shall constitute for me a hermetic code. It shall signal that you too perceive an alternative truth's imminence ready to unveil itself. And if you desire to become an integral part of this current in an even more intimate manner, contemplate adhesion to the channel. It concerns not a simple registration, but an alliance between seekers. Through this bond we can continue conjointly clearing new consciousness territories. But meanwhile, that approbation? It represents our first whisper of understanding. The true name of things is not the one given by men, but the one they silently pronounce when they return to the source. For thousands of years, the great sages of ancient civilizations knew something that seems incredible today. They didn't just believe that sound had power, they knew how to use it to transform reality. It wasn't a metaphorical idea. It was a direct, concrete, precise practice. In Egypt, Sumer, Vedic India, and the Greek mysteries, sound was treated as a sacred instrument, a means of creation, a vibrational code capable of activating invisible processes and shaping what is visible. When they spoke of the creative word, they weren't making poetry. They were referring to an occult science passed down only to the initiated. Sound, when pronounced with precision and the right intention, was not merely heard. It was perceived in the flesh, absorbed by the energy field, and incorporated into the body as a living frequency. The stones of ancient temples still retain its resonance. In certain places, if you whisper, the sound expands. This is no coincidence. It is vibrational engineering. Words had weight, syllables, rhythm, intonation, a purpose. They didn't speak at random. They spoke because each sound carried with it a function, the right vibration, organized, aligned, restored. And that vibration wasn't meant to be strong or aggressive. It had to be true, precise. And when spoken with presence, something incredible happened. Matter responded, the body reacted, water changed its structure, the environment was purified, emotions transformed, and, above all, the mind abandoned its survival state to access a higher plane of consciousness. It was as if sound were a key, a secret password, a bridge between the invisible and the visible. This is why the ancients knew it wasn't just about speaking well. It was about vibrating coherently. Sound was an energetic signature, and those who mastered this art needed no argument. Their presence changed the environment. Their voice aligned realities. This is why healing rituals didn't use medicines. They used chants, recitations, sacred repetitions. Sounds that were not only beautiful, but effective. In the Hermetic tradition, this was known as the principle of vibration. Everything vibrates, everything pulsates, everything emits a frequency. And sound is the first impact of consciousness on matter. What you emit with your voice doesn't stop on your lips, it expands into the field. It pierces the subtle layers of reality. It rearranges what seemed immutable. And when done with the right intention, it breaks patterns of pain, scarcity, doubt, and fear. Not magically, but precisely. This is why true sound was protected. It was reserved, because it was not to be used lightly. Because if uttered without awareness, it could cause the opposite: chaos, imbalance, fragmentation. And here comes the most disturbing part. This specific sound, this sacred frequency once common among the ancients, was deliberately hidden, erased from records, distorted in translations, replaced by soulless words, empty repetitions, memorized speeches that vibrate nowhere. Because this sound was dangerous, not because it harmed, but because it set one free. And a human being who knows how to use the right sound with true intention becomes uncontrollable. They no longer need an intermediary, they no longer need doctrines, and they no longer need the system, because they have begun to command their own vibrational reality. And this, for a world built on control, is unacceptable. And so everything began to be forgotten. The word became noise, the vibration became distraction. People continued to talk, to shout, to share opinions, but without energy, without presence, without intention. And the word that once created now limits itself to repetition, now only reinforces the prison. Because when you don't know what you're emitting, your frequency collapses with the field around you. And that's why so many people feel blocked even when they express what they want to experience. But the good news is that this sound still exists. It hasn't been destroyed, it's just been hidden, buried under layers of distraction, and today it's resurfacing. You may not know its name yet. No, but your body hears it, your field recognizes it, your soul vibrates with it. Because this sound isn't external, it's within you, and it's ready to be reactivated. The revelation, the sound, is, I am. But if this sound still exists, why doesn't anyone speak of it anymore? Because it was silenced, and not by chance. It wasn't a historical mistake, it was a strategy, one of the most effective ever created, to disconnect human beings from their own source of power. What was once sacred became superstition. What was vibrational science began to be labeled as dangerous mysticism. And little by little, sound was erased from rituals, schools, chants, even from memory. But the initiates knew what they were doing. They understood the risk. It wasn't just any sound. It was the one capable of igniting the inner fire, the same fire described in the Hermetic scrolls. The fire that doesn't destroy, but reveals. The fire that burns in the chest and transforms every cell into a point of connection with the divine. And that was precisely why it had to be hidden, lest anyone who accessing that fire, even for a moment, would never be the same again. This sound was used in secret rituals in the temples of Sekhmet in ancient Egypt. There was no music, no instruments, only silence and intention, until, at a specific moment during the initiation, the sound was pronounced. And when that happened, something inside the initiate broke, as if the dense layers of fear, guilt, doubt, and attachment were all crumbling away. They didn't call it healing, they called it remembering, because the soul wasn't sick, it was just forgotten. The phrase repeated among the hierophants was clear: he who remembers, commands. Because remembering one's origins isn't just any memory, it's an activation. It's when the being stops asking permission and begins to vibrate with a silent authority. Not authority over others, but over oneself, over one's own energy, one's own time, one's own reality. But then came the fall, not with wars or explosions, it was more subtle. It came through distraction, through excessive noise, through the priority of form over essence. Words continued to be spoken, but without vibration. Ceremonies continued to be held, but they became performances, and sound, true sound, disappeared from human lips. With that, the era of disconnection began. Spirituality became belief, the body became a machine, the soul became an abstract concept. And the sound that once opened portals now echoed hollowly between phrases no one truly heard anymore. People spoke of faith, but they didn't vibrate coherently. They prayed for help, but emitted fear. They sought light, but carried the frequency of doubt. And the sound, that original sound, no longer found space to manifest. But it was never destroyed, and this is what most disturbs those who still try to maintain control. The sound has survived. It doesn't live in temples or scriptures. It lives in the energy field of being, in a region so deep within your consciousness that ordinary words cannot reach it. It's hidden in your pauses, in your most authentic silences, in the moments when you feel, without knowing why, that there's something more. The sound never ceased to exist, it just went dormant, and now it's starting to vibrate again. First as a discomfort, then as a call, until it emerges clearly. And when it does, there's no turning back. You begin to remember, you begin to feel. And that's when everything changes. Because this sound doesn't just awaken, it reconnects, realigns, reorders. And if you're here listening to this, it's no coincidence. It's because that sound has already begun to move within you. It's approaching the surface, and in the next part, it will emerge. Not as a theory, but as a perceived revelation, because the sound has a name, it has a form. And when you pronounce it, everything around you will begin to respond. And then finally, the sound reveals itself, not as a secret that comes from outside, but as an internal recognition. A sound that doesn't need to be learned, only remembered. And its name is this: I am. This is not a common statement of identity. It's not the I am you use to describe yourself every day. Like when you say, I am tired, I am anxious, I am limited, those are just mental noise. Here we're talking about something else, a sacred sound, a vibrational code, a primordial vibration that connects you to what the ancients called the source. This I am is not a description, it's an activation. When you pronounce it with full awareness, something begins to reorganize within you. The superficial layers of the mind that once dominated begin to subside, and something deeper takes their place. It's not an emotion, it's a presence. It's not an idea, it's a frequency. And this frequency doesn't just calm you, it transforms your energetic structure, reorders your subtle fields. Your body responds, your magnetic field aligns, and your mind, for the first time in a long time, comes out of sleep mode. Survival from that constant tension, from that aimless race, from that inexplicable exhaustion. Everything begins to melt away because the right sound is occupying the right space within you. Science has already begun to glimpse this. The heart's magnetic field, for example, changes when you pronounce certain words with true intention. And of all of them, the sound I am is the one that has the most profound impact, because it isn't trying to create something new. It's reminding you of something that has always existed, something you've forgotten but never lost. And this is where the wisdom of Thoth becomes even more powerful. Thoth said that speech is the bridge between the invisible and the real. It doesn't matter what you believe intellectually. What matters is what you affirm with truth. Because everything you affirm consistently, you embody. Not just energetically, but biologically. The vibration of your voice affects the water in your body, the communication between your cells, the expression of your genes. But there's one detail that changes everything. It's not enough to repeat I am, like a spiritual parrot, and it's not enough to memorize the phrase. The sound must come from a specific place, the center of your presence. And this is where many people get lost. They want to repeat it to attract something. They repeat it anxiously, urgently, fearful that it won't work. And this is the problem. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you say with your lips, it responds to what you vibrate with your being. Pronounce I am. Consistently is a state, an alignment between what you say, what you feel, and what you emanate. When these three elements come together, the sound becomes a bridge. And the bridge takes you back inside, to your point of origin, to the place where you left your truth. And why pronounce it for 55 seconds? Because it's not just about emitting a sound, it's about sustaining the frequency. The human energy field needs time to transition from mental noise to a deeper vibrational state. And 55 seconds is the minimum time needed for the sound to not only touch, but integrate. For your biological system to register it, for your energy field to restructure itself. During those seconds, the mind tries to resist, it gets distracted, it questions, it interrupts. But if you resist, something changes. A passage opens up. It's like passing through an internal fog. You feel your body warm, your breath freeze, the vibration begins to expand like silent waves. And when you realize it, you're no longer repeating a word, you are the word. This is the key. The sound I am is not a technique, it's a vibrational identity. When spoken with presence, it activates a memory that was dormant and, with it, a power the world tried to convince you didn't exist. The power to create with awareness, to live with presence, to command your frequency. And this is where everything truly begins to change, because this sound doesn't act alone. It prepares the ground, activates the field. But there's a reason it's considered Thoth's most dangerous sound, and that reason is about to be revealed. But why 55 seconds? The science of sustained frequency. This is where many people go wrong. When they hear they should utter the sound for 55 seconds, they think it's some mystical, invented number, a random esoteric whim. But that's not the case. It's not superstition. It has a foundation, it has logic. And now, finally, science is beginning to catch up with what the ancients already knew in practice, without the need for laboratories or devices. Because the body hears before the mind understands. When you emit a sound frequency consistently for about a minute, your internal system enters a state of coherence. And what does that mean? What is it? It's when the heart, mind, and body begin to vibrate together in synchrony. It's the moment when the chaos of anxiety gives way to concentration, when the internal noise subsides, and when the body, which until then was in defense mode, it begins to transition into a state of regeneration. This has a name: cardiac coherence. It's when your breathing, heartbeat, and vibration move in the same rhythm. The autonomic nervous system, which controls unconscious processes like digestion, sleep, and immunity, begins to slow down. You stop running as if you were in danger and start operating as if you were safe. The body understands that it can heal because it has emerged from its state of alert. From that point on, something even more profound happens. The vagus nerve activates. This nerve is not just any nerve. It connects the brain to the heart, lungs, and gut. It's like a communication cable between the mind and body, and it activates only in states of inner peace. When this happens, hormones like serotonin and dopamine begin to be released, not by an external stimulus, but by your internal vibration. This is why 55 seconds is the minimum time needed, because it takes a few seconds for your field to emerge from a superficial state. At first, the mind tries to take control. The noise is still there, the thoughts are still racing. But if you persist, if you hold the sound for a few more seconds, the field begins to change. The sound passes through the mind and reaches the body, and the body responds. And it is at this precise moment that the brain waves begin to transform, and the fast frequencies, typical of tension and distraction, begin to give way to deeper waves. Soon, gamma waves are activated. These are the same waves present in advanced meditative states. And they don't just bring calm, they bring clarity, a kind of gentle yet powerful lucidity, a state of expanded awareness that requires no effort. It's as if you're tuning into something that has always been there, but that you can only now perceive. Thoth knew this and taught that sound is the vehicle of consciousness, that sacred repetition is a bridge between the visible and the invisible, and that true transformation occurs not when the sound is heard, but when it is sustained with intention, when it penetrates not only the ears, but the bones, the cells, the field. You may think 55 seconds is a short time, but try doing it with presence. You'll realize that this short period of time has the power to reorganize things that have been out of place for years. Because sound doesn't need much time, it needs truth, focus, and surrender. And if you give it that, it restores balance, expansion, and liberation. This is why repeating the sound, I am, for 55 seconds isn't just a decorative ritual, it's both a spiritual and physiological technology. It's neural reprogramming, it's energetic cleansing, it's recalibrating your electromagnetic field. It's like pressing a button that resets the entire system, but with one crucial detail. That button only works if you're fully present in the vibration, within the sound, not rushing to finish. And that's exactly what the ancients did. They didn't count time like someone looking at a clock, they felt it in their body. They sensed the moment the frequency changed. And when that happened, They knew the bridge had opened, the portal was active, and in that state, creation began. But now is the time to be even more careful, because if pronouncing the sound consistently already reorganizes your field, imagine what happens when that frequency begins to influence your relationship with the outside world. The sound you emit begins to alter the reality around you. And that's why Thoth called it the most dangerous sound of all. And now comes the most sensitive point, the part that never reaches people through conventional books or public speeches. Because if the sound that reorganizes the body is already powerful, the sound that reorganizes reality is seen as a threat. And that's what I am awakens when spoken with presence. It doesn't just heal, it shatters structures. And the structures built to keep you disconnected cannot. Surviving the sound that restores your origin. Just imagine for a moment if every human being knew that by sustaining the right sound for 55 seconds, they could access their original energy without intermediaries, without dogma, without imposed rituals. What would happen to systems based on fear, guilt, and submission? There would no longer be any need for anyone to tell you what you should be. There would be no more control based on scarcity, judgment, or separation. You would no longer need to ask permission to live fully, because you would remember that you already are, that you always have been, and that sound is the trigger that awakens that memory in the body, not in theory. And that is precisely why this sound had to be hidden. Thoth didn't suppress it out of malice. He protected it because he knew that, in the wrong hands, it could be distorted, transformed into a weapon used to manipulate rather than liberate. That's why he codified it, hiding the true sound within symbols, geometries, myths, and metaphors. Because only those who were ready, those who truly sought with a pure heart, would be able to decipher it. The right sound destroys the veil of illusion, not only the spiritual one, but also the social, mental, and emotional ones. It dissolves the idea that you must achieve something in order to exist. It undoes the conditioning that made you believe your value depends on external approval. It shatters the logic of lack, because when you speak with presence, you're not asking, you're vibrating. And those who vibrate don't beg, those who vibrate manifest. That's why this is the most dangerous sound of all, because it ends dependence, cuts the cord of manipulation, and restores sovereignty to the individual. And no empire can resist awakened beings who vibrate in truth. No system of control is compatible with a collective field of vibrational coherence, because control depends on fear, and fear cannot survive where there is presence. Now it's becoming clear why you've never felt this as you do now, because it's not profitable for you to discover that your vibration is more powerful than any external decree. That your voice, aligned with your truth, has more impact than 1,000 memorized words. That the simplest sound in the world, I am, when spoken coherently, is more transformative than any sophisticated technique or spiritual product. Thoth left clues, and they all point to the same place. The awakening of the self is a return, not an acquisition. Sound doesn't provide you with something new. It reminds you of who you already are. It activates what has always been within you, waiting for you to stop asking for permission and begin reclaiming your vibration. And when that happens, the universe changes its language. You stop responding to yourself with scarcity because you stop vibrating with lack. You stop mirroring yourself in resistance because you stop hiding behind old stories. You begin to vibrate truth, and truth doesn't need to scream, it just needs to resonate. And this is the point where everything truly changes, because now it's no longer about knowing the sound, it's about practicing it, sustaining it, living it in the body, in the breath, in the energy. The final practice. The 55-second chant. The moment has come when knowledge stops being mere information and becomes living practice, because there's no point in understanding with the mind if the body doesn't feel. And now that the field is sensitive and receptive, it's time to activate. Sit with your spine erect, not in a rigid posture, but awakened, like someone making themselves available for something subtle yet profound. Close your eyes if you prefer, or leave them slightly open. What really matters is that your attention is here, in the present, completely. Take 3 deep breaths. The first as if the air were clearing away the noise, the second as if it were creating space between your thoughts, the third as if it were expelling everything that doesn't vibrate with your essence. Now, with your breathing slower, bring your right hand to the center of your chest. That point between the heart and the throat is known. T may have many names, but this is the home of your original vibration, where the word is born before leaving your mouth. And it is there that you will focus your presence, and you will not repeat anything mechanically. You will vibrate with intention, letting the sound emerge from within, not from your throat. And when you pronounce it, do it like this: I am. Each cycle lasts about 5 seconds. You can use the rhythm of a full breath. Inhale, pronounce as the air exits, and when it ends, inhale again. Do this 11 times. That's enough. 11 vibrations in total. 55 seconds. This will reorganize your field. But listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal is crucial. Don't expect sudden flashes or dramatic revelations. What if I told you that every problem you think you have is actually just one problem disguised in 1,000 different costumes? What if every limitation you believe defines you is just the same limitation wearing a different mask? The one problem is this: you've forgotten that you are not the character in the story. You are the author writing it. You are not the wave on the ocean. You are the ocean expressing itself as a wave. When you whisper, I am, with complete presence, you're not speaking to reality. You are reality speaking to itself, through you, as you. This is why certain sounds have power and others don't. This is why some words create and others merely describe. This is why I am is not just another affirmation but the fundamental frequency of existence itself. Every time you voice this truth with genuine conviction, you're sending ripples through the fabric of space-time that rearrange the molecular structure of your experience. Sound waves are energy waves. Energy waves are information waves. Information waves are creative waves. And you, dear soul, are both the transmitter and the receiver of this cosmic broadcast. The mystics knew this. The shamans lived this. The quantum physicists are beginning to prove this. Consciousness is not produced by the brain. Consciousness is the field in which the brain arises. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you. And when you truly grasp this, when you feel it in your bones rather than just understand it in your mind, everything changes. Not because the world transforms, but because your perception of your role in it undergoes a complete metamorphosis. You stop being the victim of circumstances and become the conscious creator of experience. You stop asking why things happen to you and start understanding how you happen to things. You stop seeking your power and start wielding it responsibly. This is not a teaching. This is a remembering. This is not information. This is activation. Welcome home to yourself. If this resonates in your bones and not just your mind, let me know with a like. But even more powerfully, share activated if you feel the shift happening inside you right now. Joining this community means choosing evolution over comfort, truth over convenience, awakening over sleep. Thank you for having the courage to question everything you thought you knew about yourself. Our paths will cross again as we continue excavating the treasure that you are. Now go forth and be the miracle you came here to be. Your full expression is the gift the world needs most.